So, hey guys, my name is Stalin. So, I live in India, been here all my life, and I'm currently working at Axis in the UK. I'm working remotely from India. So I was working in India for about 2 years in a small studio as a 3D generalist. And at a certain point, I hit a wall. I couldn't, there was no work and I needed to grow. So I was looking into character animation because my dream has always been to tell stories. But as you know, learning animation can be very expensive, especially if you're from a third world country. I mean, if you were in my situation, I guess you would have been looking at all over the place and just get disappointed that it's all expensive. So I started looking into online schools, and I found that it was still expensive. So I looked through it, and then I started actually looking about all the information put on the sites, and that's when I found that Anand School is the only one that has a discount program. So I applied, and my tuition fees got cut into almost half. And that's one of the biggest reasons that I could afford Anand School. So before I started Anand School, my skill, my all I knew was the basics about bouncing ball, pendulums, and the tail animation, all that stuff. And so I applied for Anand School with that reel. So I was lucky enough to get put directly into class two, where you get the full body characters. So these are my shots from class two. I'll play them first and then talk about them one by one. There's no sound. Okay, so animating characters. So this is my first time I did a walk cycle, and it was fun. Okay, so I was like, oh, this is great. Okay, and then this walks to stop assignment, try to put some acting in there. And then right there, I got a lot confident. So I got cocky and I wanted to try more bigger ideas. So this assignment was all about race interaction. So I just wanted to put more acting into it, which I was not ready for. He's an archaeologist or explorer. He's trying to open a chamber and his arm gets stuck and then he's trying to pull it out and then he fails and flies off screen. But as I was doing this, I was getting a lot of notes because this is a pantomime shot and I didn't have any acting skills. My staging wasn't working, my acting wasn't working, my poses weren't working. Whenever I went to review sessions, they were all talking about adding more beats to make this thing clear. That also meant that I have to make this shot longer and longer, which I was not ready for. So I soon realized that this was too much for me and I have to step back. I would like to mention that it's important to not jump too far ahead. And it's also important to realize that, at least in the early stages, to realize that you're jumping too far ahead so you can get back and start, make your foundation strong. So 2 weeks into it, I realized this was too much and I would probably fail the class. So I dropped it and then went back to doing an actual weight interaction assignment. And this is where I got, this is how far I got with it. And I passed the class. So this is my class three shots. I'll play it once and talk about it later. Okay. So this is just run and jump and the end. So again, so this was this obstacle course assignment. It's basically body mechanics assignment. So learning from my past mistake, I was afraid getting into pantomime, but my instructor felt like I could add some acting. He pushed me to act. He pushed me to improve. So I did it, and I learned a lot. I think, and I was more confident right this time to put some acting in. So another thing I went through like during around the time I was doing this shot was about how I realized how hard animation was. I wanted to do animation, but it was way too hard. So it was getting to me. I was this shot was very hard to do. So I was burnt out. I wanted to quit animation. I was discussing with Emily here as well, and we both felt the same way. And then we just decided to keep going. Yeah. Okay, so this time around, I was getting more confident in doing pantomime. But again, while doing this, so this shot is the course, the entire term duration is about 2.5 months, and you need a lot of motivation to get going, to commit to one shot for that amount of time. So I went through a lot of phase mentally doing this shot, which was about, why I'm doing this. This is too hard. Why am I doing this? So there were days I was just lying in my bed and just I lost all my passion for animation. I was just thinking if I should continue doing this. And then I remembered why I got started. And it was all about to tell my own stories, to make my own characters come to life. And that motivated me to keep going. And I rediscovered my passion because when you see animation, it's all fun, but seeing animation and doing animation is not the same. So it's not about liking watching animation. You just also have to love doing animation. That's how you can keep going. So right after I finished class 4, I realized that class 5 has a huge jump because class 4 is, as you saw, the characters were all blocky, and class 5 it's all very fleshy characters, organic characters. I knew right away that I wasn't ready for it. Again, learning from my past mistake. So so it was too much. So I didn't know how to do expressions, how to make things organic, and also this whole lip sync and acting. So I took a break from Adam School for 3 months. So there are different payment options in Adam School. One is called Easy Pay. So basically, when you choose Easy Pay, your payment for 6 months gets extended to 9 months, and you get 3 months break-ish time period, but you get access to all the general reviews, art class, all the class recordings. So you can go to all the review sessions and you can show all your work and get feedback and continue learning. So, but you won't be paying extra. It's just the payment is spread out to 9 months. So I took that and I did a lot of tests with the advanced rigs. So I did start with basic blinks, eye dots, head turns, expression change, and I did a small pantomime test, and I did a small lip sync test, and then I felt more confident to get into class 5. So this is what I did in class 5.
Pick up.
Hello?
Yes, I came after you, but I missed the train. I'm sorry. We need to talk.
Let's talk.
Where are you?
Right behind you.
Okay, I'll just play this real quick.
So Tyler started from class 1-2s.
How's the playback?
It's good. It's good. So you guys start with bouncing balls. This is class 1. All these are assignment for class 1. So just to make sure you guys have the right fundamentals before moving forward.
Once the quarterback has the ball, he fakes to the left. No, he fakes to the right. He doesn't fake. He thinks about faking. He pretends to fake. I don't know where I am.
Nick knows. He got dumped.
Dumped. Yeah, I got dumped. She dumped me, and I'm over it. Okay, it was 6 months ago, guys. Get past it. I don't even know why we're still talking about it. Why is everybody looking at me?
Are you in love with me? Because I'm in love with you.
I'm in love with you.
Really?
So you guys can see from a bouncing ball to this, to showcase, and then Sony. So yeah, Tyler, go ahead. Take it.
Okay, so to really succeed in Anim School, you have to go to the general reviews. Like Manuel said, I went literally from this day one, this general review, all the way to the end. And they're part of Anim School. They're free. There's one almost every single day. You don't have to go to every single one, but I suggest you go to at least 3. So you have your instructor, and then if you go to 3 a week, sometimes you can, 2 to 3, so that you'll have 3 to 4 animators looking at your work constantly. Now, it doesn't mean every little note that you get from each one, you have to, implement them, because sometimes you do get conflicting notes, but then check it with your instructor and they'll kind of like point you in the direction which way they want. But it's good to just get as many notes as you can and then apply the ones that you think are going to plus your shot the most. And 90% of the time, it's, the notes that your instructor are giving you, you should implement them because they're very strong notes. Back to what Stalin was saying with my class 3 shot. So I started to get pretty cocky with stuff and thought, I'm getting better at animation. I'm doing, I did well in the first 2 classes. I'm going to start trying to get crazier with my ideas and start trying to tell a story, like create this beautiful masterpiece. But at the end of the day, we're still a student. We're only on the 3rd or 4th class. We still have really complicated classes coming up. And we're nowhere near a professional. So we need to just keep it simple and be basic and just do what the assignment is asking. So this, I added a little bit, but you really don't need to do this. You can just do a simple running jump. And then especially this one, the werewolf one, I really wanted to get crazy with it, but I'm not very happy with it. I don't really like it. I think there's a lot of problems with it, and it was difficult at the time. I believe it was a 6-week assignment, and that ended up taking me actually 7 weeks because during this dog walk, I had to go back and double and animate on it as well to make it look better so I can get a higher grade. And so that werewolf one took me 7 weeks because I was trying to make it all crazy and intricate and have this complex story going on. And then if you look at the zombie one, we have 11 weeks to do this, and I finished it in 8 weeks. So I finished it early. And the first 3 weeks, you're planning, you're doing video reference. So I really only animated like 5 to 6 weeks on the shot. I was much faster. I planned this one out. I spent more time in preparation, and I just had more experience going through the 3rd class on this one. So you're going to have time to, and even if it's not in class 4, you're going to have time with class 5 and 6 and 7 to make really nice shots. You don't have to worry about like, I need to, I'm going to miss out on making a really awesome pantomime shot if I don't do it right now. You can always go back and do a personal pantomime shot later if you need to. So it's really important. You keep things simple and you just do the assignment and you don't get too carried away. A big struggle is going from 4 to 5. Also what Stalin said. It is a big jump going from, these little blocky characters, no talking to, acting. This shot was definitely my hardest shot because I was not used to doing lip sync and working with these complex rigs. I had to put in like 50 hours a week on this shot because there was a point where I thought I was going to, I had a really high standard for myself. I wanted to get I saw, okay, so Saul mentioned Sophia. Sophia was a huge inspiration of mine. And so she had 4 classes in the showcase. So I said, that's the standard. If someone can get 4 shots in the showcase, that's the bar. And so I got this one in the showcase, and I wanted to get this one in the showcase, but I kind of had a couple of weeks where I was feeling really burnt out and telling myself, there's no way this shot's getting the showcase. It's terrible. But week 7 and 8, I had to really just put on the hard hat and break it down. You know, you have this shot that's like 250 frames, break it down to the first 50 frames. Okay. If it's just a 50 frame shot, I could do that. You know, that's easy. It's not overwhelming. Just focus on the 50 frames. Focus on this one move. Don't think about the whole shot. And then, you know, once you get that moving, okay, that looks good. All right, now let's break down the next 50 frames. That's really something important to take away when you're doing the class 5, 6, and 7 shots. Sometimes you really need to just grind it out, break it down, relax, take a deep breath, and you'll be okay. Let me look at if there's any questions. I did not have a full-time job. I was not working while I was taking these classes. So, but I know there are some people who did work. So it is possible. So don't think that if you are working, you're not going to be able to do this stuff. There are many people in the showcase who were working and produced this same amount of work. It's just the drive that they have and the dedication. If you have it, you can do it.
Yeah, I worked up until class 6. So I had a full-time, part-time job, about 30 hours a week that I worked.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to say is the general reviews are the biggest thing.
General reviews, it acts like dailies. When you work as an animator, you basically have dailies every single day, right? Hence the name dailies. So you get your word review every day. So that keeps you progressing all the time. That's what everybody needs.
So yeah, I started in 2018, and then I was working a full-time job throughout most of my time at Anim School. It was really difficult. I worked at a job that I was not happy at. I was at a call center, so I was at a computer for 8 and 9 hours a day, and then I would come home and work on my animation from anywhere between 2 to 6 hours a night, depending on how tired I was, depending on how much work I had to do. So it is doable. You just have to really take into account your mental health, your physical health. And if you need a break, take it, because burnout is no joke, especially in this industry. If you work in a TV job, the time constraints are way tighter than if you work on a feature or a movie. So just keep that in mind. Mental and physical health come first. I'm going to show you all class 1 through 7. So this is starting off with class 1 with my bouncing ball. And this was the first time I ever animated anything. And I was super excited to start animating, even though it was just little spheres rolling around on the screen. I was finally starting to get to work on my dream. This is when I started to incorporate some character into the animation. And I remember that my teacher really gave me a lot of praise for that. And he was, really proud of my work. Looking back at these Eggman shots, they make me cringe, especially this one. This one's not good. And then this is where I, obviously started with the bipedal. Actually, this shot, I don't think I had a chance to finish. If you notice, when this gets over here, his foot is a little broken. But yeah, so throughout these classes, I actually filmed this on my break at work. So this is out in the parking lot at my old job. And I would film tons of reference. I grew up as an actress and a dancer and a performing artist. So I'm very in tune with my emotions, with my body mechanics and how my body moves and things like that. So when I had a vision for one of my shots, I would film a ton of reference. With this body acting shot, this is when I really started to feel more confident in my abilities as an animator, because I was really pushing the poses and getting more character out of these block guys. So this one I really enjoyed doing. And then in the next class, in class 5, this is when I really started to feel in my element. For some reason, for me personally, I had a hard time with the block characters versus these organic ones. I felt it a lot easier to animate these organic characters just because it felt, you know, more like me, like a human. So I found it easier to animate these personally. I know that with a lot of people, it's more difficult because lip sync and, you know, eyelids and fingers and all this stuff. There's a lot going on. This shot, I put a lot of pressure on myself for this one because I really wanted this one. I wanted every shot to be like showcase worthy, and this one just didn't hit the mark. I actually tried to block this one out in spline, which means that instead of blocking pose to pose in like a kind of, I guess, to put it in simpler terms, like a robotic type of way, I tried to block it out in spline, which makes it so that it's very flowy and smooth. And I had to go back and reblock everything. So I lost about 2 or 3 weeks on this one, and it didn't hit the mark for the showcase. And my personal opinion either. I didn't really like it, but I did want to show y'all, you know, one of the shots that I wasn't super happy with. And then the last shot here that's coming up, this one I'm really proud of because I felt really comfortable with my acting abilities. I felt comfortable with the rigs. And like I said, I grew up a dancer, so I really wanted to do a shot that had dancing in it. And I enjoyed it. It was really fun. And I do have some tips and tricks for you guys. I did prepare beforehand, so I wanted to make sure that you guys were, or all of y'all were getting the most out of this open house. So a couple of things: do not procrastinate. That was one of the things that I did in school, is because I was working full time. I'd work 8 or 9 hours a day, come home and, you know, eat dinner and like veg out on the couch for a couple hours. And then before I knew it, it would be 11 p.m. and I'd have to work the next morning. So do not procrastinate. Literally, if you want to be good in animation, it is so much time dedication. So put the time in. It will show in your work if you procrastinate. I know from firsthand experience. My second tip would be take an acting class. Get out of your comfort zone. Really explore your emotions and your body mechanics, and that will push your performances in animation way further. Have a mirror at your desk. So when you start getting into facial animation and stuff, it is very helpful to have a mirror at your desk so you can see how your face moves and makes all these crazy expressions and stuff, and it will help you implement that into your own animations. Tackle the tricky things that are confusing to you as soon as possible. When I first started, I had trouble with constraints, which is basically, say a character is picking up a mug. The mug is constrained to the hand, and there is a lot of technical stuff that goes into that. Make sure that you handle anything that's tricky to you, tough to understand, handle that quickly so that it doesn't take too long for you to understand down the road. I'm currently working at Icon Creative Studios. They're based in Canada, but I'm born and raised and currently based in Los Angeles, and they allowed me to work remotely. And the show that I'm working on right now is actually a Disney Junior show called Tots. And there's a lot of constraints in there where they have to pick stuff up, they have to pick up babies and all this different stuff. And I finally understand constraints now because I've had to do it so much. So again, just tackle those tricky things head on. Edit your audios. So when you get into dialogue pieces, there's a high chance that someone somewhere else has also animated that same exact dialogue. Make it your own by learning the basics of like After Effects or an audio, like a video editing software, and edit together your audios. You can splice them. You can, like, if there's a long pause, you can cut out that long pause so that your shot won't be like, 30 seconds long, and make it your own. Make it so that it's a little bit more customized to your shot. And then let's see, reference videos. So in Anim School, they really, encourage you to do video reference so that you're fully aware of like your staging in animating the camera and how the body actually moves. Because if you try to go into an animation without any reference at all, it can be very tricky. You could get things off, you could get angles wrong, and do a ton of takes. Do lots of takes so that way when you get all of your takes onto your computer, you can edit together your favorite ones. And on my ArtStation, I have breakdowns of some of my video editing that I've done. And I'll have like my head over here in the corner and then my body like full frame. So that really helps. It'll get you the best performance that you want out of your vision. Something that I wish I would have done more of in school is rig testing. So when you go from the block characters to the highly resed organic characters, it's a big leap and it's going to be overwhelming. So you want to take some time, maybe a weekend, maybe a few days, to test out that rig that you're going to be using for your shot and make sure that you understand the controls, how they work, what expressions and poses look good on the character, what might make the character look off model, like how far you can push it before it looks off model. So really just experiment with the rigs before you get into your shot, because if you get into your shot without experimenting the rigs, you're going to wish you did. Something that is a current problem for me now working at Icon. I was trained in animation, not in layout. In anim school, they don't really want you to animate cameras too much because they want you to focus on the animation. But now that I'm working at Icon at a studio, they want me to work on layout. And I was having a really hard time because cameras are a different ballgame. You have to learn how to animate them properly to make them not feel wobbly or handheld or not feel too jarring to the viewer. So really take some time to look on YouTube or just train yourself, experiment with cameras and how they move and like how they move in real life, like on sets and stuff like that for TV shows and movies, because that will help you in the long run. And like 9 out of 10 times you're going to be doing layout at a job. And it's a good thing to know as well. Networking. So please network. I know that a lot of artists can be very introverted and it's, kind of hard to break out of your shell, especially with COVID. And we've all been trapped inside for the last year and a half. Really network, break out of your comfort zone, talk to people. If there's a shot of a student in your class that you like, reach out to them and say, hey, I really like your shot. What was your inspiration? Or do you have any tips? Or maybe even start like a Discord chat with your classmates. And that way you guys can keep tabs on each other, like after you graduate and go to different school or go to different jobs and things like that. Networking is half, I say, of getting a job in the industry. Half of it is talent and time, and then the other half is networking, is like who you know and who's looking for work and all that. So break out of your comfort zone and make some friends in the animation industry. It'll help you in the long run. And then my last tip, I have 10 total, so thanks for hanging out while I get through all these. Freelancing versus staff positions. Staff positions obviously are, the most sought after because it's a solid job that's consistent and it's steady work. And you don't have to worry about like, oh God, am I going to have a job in 2 months? But freelancing is very common in this industry. When I graduated anim school in March, I spent a month on my reel, making it look good and presentable to apply. Then I spent all month of May applying to jobs. I applied to 26 animation jobs and only heard back from one. I kept track of all of them so that if someone replied to me, I know what position I applied for, where it's located and all that stuff. And I actually got that first job through David Gallagher, who is one of the founders of Anim School. And it's just a lot of networking. And currently right now with Icon, I am technically freelance and they've just extended my contract a couple of times. So freelance is very common. But the thing with freelance, if you work in America, I'm not sure how other countries do it with taxes and stuff, but in America, if you're a freelance animator, you want to keep track of everything. Like how often you worked, how much they paid you, when they paid you. And also in America for tax deductions, if you're working as an animator, you can deduct things like paying to go see a movie, paying for games. You can deduct, if you bought Photoshop, you can deduct that. There's a lot of things you want to keep track of. So freelance is more common. It is a lot more work, like on the personal side, like you have to keep track of a lot more things just for reporting your income. But yeah, so that's pretty much my animation journey and all the tips that I have for you all. Animation is a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. And if you feel yourself getting burned out, take the time to recuperate, because trying to work through burnout, usually is never successful. Your work, it shows in your work, it shows in your attitude and your stress. So really just take care of yourself and do things that keep you passionate about animation. Watch movies that make you passionate. Or like for me, for instance, my background is How to Train Your Dragon, and I am obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon. It was the thing that got me into animation. So when I'm feeling down or depressed or burned out about my animation, I'll put on one of the 3 How to Train Your Dragon movies. And after the movie's over, I'm like, I want to animate. Let's do this. I want to do this. Let's go. So yeah, so that is my experience. And I hope that these tips and advice were very helpful for all of you.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just let it play and then talk
Yeah,
about it.
you can go ahead. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so I started from class 0. I didn't have any experience with animation at all. Before I started anim school, I was a drummer in a band and I toured nonstop. I stopped going to school to like do music fully, and I was away a lot from my family and friends. And it started to get old. I toured the country like 4 times probably. Got old, missed being home with my family and being exhausted playing music all the time, and it didn't really feel like fun anymore. It felt like a job. So I guess I went to Disney World or Land, and I was like, that's crazy. People make these movies. I wonder if I could do something like that. So I ended up having, my uncle's a lawyer. He works at Disney, nothing art related. So I asked him if he knows anybody in the art department. He ended up putting me in touch with someone that does work at Disney, and they recommended Anim School to me. And yeah, I went from there. And then I guess I'll talk more about it after this plays, because I have sound coming up.
Yeah, when you told me your background, dude, I was like, that's cool. Because this is especially what you guys said.
Yeah,
Brie was an actress, you were a drummer, like all of you, we all have different backgrounds, and that's the good thing about it. You know what I mean? You don't need to be artistic to be an animator at all.
Lying about.
I've taken Viagra for 2 years. I ate 6 muffins downstairs a while ago, and my cholesterol level is 305. My heart could explode at any second. These might be my very last words.
Maybe I'm one of those people that has always wanted to do it, but it's like a pipe dream for me, you know? And then you set it. You change your dreams, and then you grow up.
This is not a date.
Wait, a date? You never said anything about a date.
I know. I didn't say anything about a date. I just wanted to clear it up in case there was any confusion on your part.
Yeah, so I started class 0, the intro to Maya, 0 experience at all. Went through the bouncing ball and everything. Like Tyler, so I didn't start going to the general reviews probably until I didn't go for this shot. This is like everybody was saying, I kind of got ahead of myself. This was for the lifting a heavy object. Kind of get ahead of myself and wanted to like incorporate a story, and I just missed the mark completely. I hate looking at this shot. So after that, I started going to general reviews every night. I went to pretty much every one that I possibly could. I also worked full-time the whole time I went to anim school, 40 hours a week, overtime at a job. So I would work 8 to 4. I'd come home and I would animate from 4:30 to whenever I would fall asleep in my chair, basically. General school was the friends in the class. Before anything, I was very reluctant to reach out to these people because they were all like great artists, and I was like, oh my god, I can't talk to these people. But I did. I saw Tyler's shot, the werewolf shot in class 3, and I messaged him about it, and we just chatted about it for a while. And then when I got to class 5 or 6, me and Tyler became super close friends, and we Zoomed all the time. Between him and Stalin, we chat every day still. Zoom calls, stuff like that. We always are showing each other new work, what we're working on, stuff. That was a huge thing for me. In addition to the general reviews, was showing your classmates the work, because you're also with them I was with Stalin from class 5 to class 7. So we were in the same classes the entire time. So it was huge to be able to have somebody that's comfortable and knows how you work, and then can give you notes based on what they've seen you do, what they know you can do. And yeah, it's huge. I'd say the general reviews were I'd say they're probably the most important part of going to school. It's totally possible to work a job. It's possible to not have background in art. Just if you're going to go to Annam School, take advantage of the general reviews as much as you can. Take advantage of the friends in your class. Take advantage of everything that the school gives you because it's great. I went from having no experience at all to having 2 shots in the showcase. And I saw the 2018 showcase with Saul Shah, and it was just, that's pretty much what inspired me to take this. And yeah, so I went from nothing to having 2 shots in the showcase. You just really got to put in the work after you work your job after you, I mean, no matter how tired you are, take care of your personal health. But I just pushed through all the way. And I decided at one point I was like, wow, I need to be in the showcase. And I pushed myself until I got there, really, with the help from Annam School and my friends from the school and everything. So yeah, that's my journey. And now I'm freelancing with a company called Origami Dollar. And we're working on like commercial kind of stuff, which has been really cool. Working from home. My contract got extended. So now I'll have like a week break and then I start up on another contract. And yeah, it's been great.